Welcome to Business of Design. Business of Design is the world's best business training for interior design professionals like you. The Business of Design podcast offers immediate, actionable strategies and a glimpse into some of the many field-tested, proven systems you can implement to transform your business and your life. After the show, head to businessofdesign.com and get started with the BOD 15-step project management strategy and 6 foundational programs. Together, they deliver the systems, procedures, and strategies you need to run a successful, highly profitable design business. There's no theory here. The complete BOD business model is yours through Business of Design membership. Business of Design. There's only one.
Now that we're all here on day 3 of KBIS, hopefully everyone's feet are still surviving. So this next panel is going to be exactly what you need right now. So I hope you're all ready to laugh a little bit. Here's some horror stories, and I encourage you all to start thinking about funny stories so you can get ready for this interactive panel. But first, our great panelists are going to come up and spill the tea on a different side of design. Moderators Sean Sarah and Rebecca Plum of Hot Young Designers podcast are leading the discussion with Kimberley Seldon, Advocate-in-Chief of Business of Design, Deneen Jackson, owner and lead designer of D. Nicole Design Studio, and Stacy McCarthy, president of Stacy McCarthy Design. So please join me in welcoming this group to the stage and to the lighter side of design.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, yay, we were worried it was just going to be a sea of white chairs.
Thank you all so much for joining us here at the next stage. It's the final panel discussion of KBIS. We're really excited, and thank you to Jennifer. As she mentioned, I'm one of your session moderators. My name is Sean Surha. I am the owner of my own design firm, Renstead Interiors, but I'm also the co-host of the Hot Young Designers Club podcast. And I'm joined by my partner in crime, Rebecca Plum, and she's here to help us moderate a fun discussion today.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I run my own design firm as well called Studio Plum and co-host with this guy. We're not that hot or that young, but that's part of the fun of our show. So today we are joined by our panelists to discuss the lightened up side of this business. We're going to have some candid conversations. We're talking about some humorous moments, horror stories, unconventional requests, and unexpected twists that might come up. Our panelists will share their lessons. These are all seasoned designers who've gone through this stuff with us like we all have, and they've navigated with some creativity and grace this unpredictable business we're in.
Truly.
So now let's welcome our panelists. First, we have Deneen Jackson. I'm going out of order, sorry. Deneen Jackson is the owner and designer of D. Nicole Design Studio. Next to me is Kimberley Seldon. Hi. She's the advocate-in-chief of the Business of Design. And finally, Stacy McCarthy, president of Stacy McCarthy Design. Okay, so panelists, could you briefly introduce yourself and answer this question? What movie or TV set would you most like to live in? We'll start with Kimberley.
Okay.
We'll go in order.
Hi, everybody. I should also say I'm an interior designer, so that's why I have good stories, not just Business of Design.
Yes.
What TV? Oh, first introduce myself. I think I just did.
You did. Good job.
I've been an interior designer for 109 years, so I have 1,000 stories. And I love the business, but it's madness, and so we'll get into that. And this was really hard for me. What TV set do I want to live in? So for sure not the Barbie house. That just is harsh, but cool.
Too many windows.
It's fun to see, but I want to live there. It's so funny because I was saying, like, there's this house from an old movie that I just love that we filmed for a TV show once. And Rebecca knew the house, which is, remember The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan? That house in Napa? I love that house. It is so pretty. But failing that, I would say any Nancy Meyers set, right? Like,
yeah.
It's complicated. You remember that beach house with Diane Keaton? We did like 79 of those kitchens, so I'm like kind of bored with that. But no, it's complicated with Meryl Streep and Alex Baldwin, right? That was a great house too. I don't know.
All good.
That was good. Any of them.
Yeah, Nancy knows what she's
Nancy
doing.
Meyers, yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Deneen?
So, do you want me to introduce myself or tell us? Okay, well, I'm Deneen Jackson. I'm actually based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I have a boutique, small interior design firm, but emphasis on kitchen and bath. My favorite sitcom, well, it's a sitcom, not a movie, was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I went back because I love how gorgeous everything was set up. And believe it or not, it's timeless. I went back through some videos and I was like, wow, they had white oak kitchen there and black and white floor tile and gold knobs. So I really feel like that's more true to my design aesthetic. So I love how timeless, although the show is almost, 30 years old, believe it or not, their kitchen is like a kitchen you would see today.
There you go. Good design.
Yeah. Good design.
I'm Stacy McCarthy with Stacy McCarthy Design and Emergency Designer. So my TV show that I was thinking of, the first thought, I think I took the assignment incorrectly because I was thinking of what did I want to be as living in the TV show. And my first thought was Bewitched. I have always wanted to be able to just wrinkle my nose and get the lights to turn off or something.
That was a cool house,
I didn't
though,
want
too.
to jump. It was a very cool house.
Yeah.
But the house I would love to live in was Father of the Bride. I just absolutely loved the kitchen
Pasadena.
that, created Father of the Bride too. So
That's
Now
a
it's
good one.
right. I gotcha.
That street always gets busy in Los Angeles. There's always people stopping to take pictures in front of it.
Yeah.
There's iconic homes.
I mean, the outside and the driveway and that classic car. Yeah, the whole set was beautiful.
So today, what we want to get into a little bit more is the part of being a designer where we know that we're often part of some of the most intimate moments of our clients' lives, and sometimes we're unnecessarily intertwined with a lot of those events that happen. And so maybe we'll start with Kimberly. Why don't you tell us about some of the run-ins that you've had with your clients?
So run-ins, or where do you even start? I'm tempted to start with the guy who used to answer the door half dressed and then finally got down just to his tidy whities. And I had to say, okay, that's enough. From now on, when we come over, you have to put pants on. That's how that's gonna work. Or if in terms of run-ins, I'll tell you a story that happened to me really early before I had systems and processes to run my business, and I really didn't know how to handle it. When you're just starting out and something happens, you're like, this can't be normal. I showed up at the house and we were laying a floor and it was Italian tiles that were handmade. And the guy had laid them all beautifully and it was all done and it was grouted and the client was crying. And I said, oh my gosh, what happened? And she said, it's all wrong. What's wrong? She said. And she pulled out, I kid you not, a magnifying glass and got down on her hands and knees and pointed out how the grout wasn't perfectly a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 of an inch all the way through.
Oh no.
But it wasn't perfect because they were handmade tiles. And so I'm on the ground, I'm on my knees, she's on her knees, her husband's on his knees, and I'm having this conversation and she's hysterical, and I'm thinking, how the hell did I get here? Why am I on the floor? What am I supposed to do? And then what makes the story just really even better is I finally just well, it's handmade. It's not extruded from a machine. It's not linoleum. If you'd wanted linoleum, we would have done that. She wanted it ripped out and made perfect. Oh, no. But finally, I got out of there. You're all going, no. But when you're just starting out, honest to God, I just wanted to make my clients happy. And I joke this way all the time. If you want to sleep with my husband, if that'll make you happy, we can do that. Anything, right? So anyway, I finally backed out of there. And as I was leaving, I backwards fell down 2 stairs onto my head and drove home with blood dripping down. It was bad. It was bad.
So did you negotiate a lawsuit or not?
No.
Meet halfway?
They ended up keeping it. I have a feeling their friends and family talked them off the ledge. But I did have this crisis of I'm not sure this is for me. What is wrong with people, right?
Did you have any indication prior that she was a little unhinged?
No, no. And, I'm so glad you said, because how all the time it's look for red flags.
Yeah.
They hide those red flags.
do.
Those red flags are well hidden sometimes until you're deep in it and he answers the door in his underwear.
Yeah.
It's what is that about?
Yeah, you would never put that in your intake form.
Yeah. By the way, add to your contract, you must be dressed at all
I
meetings.
mean, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's LA, but come on.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's a terrible feeling, too.
Yeah.
Do you think he was like testing it? Like a slow striptease? Was that like, he was like, maybe next time I'll take like
one
strip
sock.
poker? Like,
It was really weird, and it was pajama bottoms the first time, and then shorts, and then just the tidy whities. I'll never forget that. I was just like,
Was
okay.
there like a
It has to
partner at
stop.
home or a spouse?
He was married. He was
didn't
married.
care, yeah.
I had a couple of. I mean, I was young then too. I was young once.
We all were.
I was young and hot once.
We all were.
I didn't get the feeling that he was. I never felt like he was a predator. I just felt like this is weird behavior, and I want it to stop now.
Yeah, he's like
it
testing
must
it.
stop now.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Good stuff.
it's tough. It's a weird business. You're in a very intimate
Yeah.
position with your clients. Sometimes you know a lot. It's a weird business.
Deneen, why don't you share some with
Oh
us?
gosh.
Where to begin?
Right, where to begin. But like Kimberly, I was just thinking, my story is actually a horror story, but like her, I did have a gentleman that I worked for when I first started. So he would send me like these love notes, but they were not love notes, but they were, you know, it was a little creepy. And my mom would say, I think he likes you, like he really wants to be with you. And I'm like, no, I'm married, I have a husband, I got a whole family. But I had something similar to that. And the crazy part about it was that his last name was like, it had love in it. And so every time we would talk about him, of course, we would make funny jokes about Mr. Lovemore wants me. But that was not my story. My story is a horror story, actually. Well, I'm not going to say which branch, but my client's husband was in the military. And when I first went to their home, she was telling me how her husband's fine with me coming in and doing the design. We don't need to have him a part of it. It was the very beginning of me going out and doing consultations. So I didn't think of anything other than it's okay. Like, yeah, well, I can talk to you if he says it's fine. Well, we went through the entire setup, and then I did the presentation. I came back to try to do it, and he's outside doing the yard work. So she's trying to call him in so I can do the presentation at their home. And he comes in upset. He's just so upset at her. And he's like, so you're starting this presentation without me? And she's like, oh no, honey, I'm sorry. And she literally like backed up. And so in that moment, I'm in the middle of the both of them. So I'm nervous, I'm scared. I'm like, oh my God, what is he gonna do to us? And it was late in the evening because I was accommodating their work schedule, which I no longer do. So I was accommodating their work schedule, and he's like, I'm going and taking a shower. And he went in their room. We're in their dining room, and it's right outside of their bedroom. So he goes in and he slams the door so hard that things start to shake. Yeah. So I'm so scared. I'm like, well, should we continue? Like, should we wait until he comes back in? And she's like, no, just go ahead, finish up. So I'm trying to finish up.
No pressure.
He did not take a shower. He comes back out. I guess he was so upset inside of the room that he just couldn't even get in the shower. He comes back out and he stands with his arms crossed the entire time I'm doing the presentation. So I am so nervous. Everything that I'm trying to lay out for her and show her, I couldn't get out. He's just standing over me. So that was really one of the, I guess, the hardest times for me when it came to design, because I was like, wow, like he didn't even give me a chance, because he started to like go off on the lighting I selected, and he's like, I guess you want my whole house to look like a woman's house. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want everything to look good. So it was really, really hard. But the lesson out of that was that I am not going to someone's home without having both decision makers on board from the get-go. So I no longer, when wives tell me, oh, my husband is fine, I want to hear that from him before I even, and we don't do presentations at their home anymore. They have to come to our office.
What do you think he was really upset about?
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Wasn't you.
It wasn't me.
No.
But immediately when I left, of course, I called my husband, and I'm like, oh my God, this happened. And he's like, you're going to have to start traveling with your gun. I'm like, oh my God. just to go into someone's house. But, you know, I guess so. You just never know, like, what you're walking into. And I did not know that night that it was going to turn off like this. And honestly, I was so nervous. I wanted to quit the project. Like, my husband was like, well, you need to send her an email and tell her you're quitting. But I never terminated a project before. So I was extremely scared to do that. I was like, well, I'm just going to sleep on it. And the next morning, the wife actually emailed me and was like, you know, her and her husband are not on the same page, so they're going to bow out gracefully. And I was so happy about that. That was years ago. And believe it or not, I just ran into the wife during Christmas season. And she's like, hey, aren't you the decorator? And I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't, like, yes.
Oh my gosh, she's still married.
She's single now?
I don't know if they're still married or not. She was not with him, so, hey, I don't know.
You're like, please stay 100 yards away from me.
Yeah,
Like, just
I was so scared. I was so scared.
So creepy. And it was a client, not just a random consultation.
No, it was a client, so it was super creepy, so yeah.
Yikes.
Nothing like triggering your fight or flight to make your best presentation ever.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Not sure I'd pull a gun on someone who was a military person.
I know, right?
I feel like I might lose that fight.
Especially the branch that he was in. Like, it all makes sense. I was like, oh
You
my
had
gosh.
some tactical experience.
The, the universe wanted you to get out of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's a good,
seriously.
You didn't have to break up with them.
They broke up with me, and I was so
Fair
fine
enough.
with it. Yeah.
By the way, I wouldn't pull a gun on anyone, but yeah, just so we're clear, I thought I could on that.
I don't know.
Definitely changes the way we practice our design process,
Right.
right? So there are several projects that I have, and I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of contractors who have now lovingly referred to me as the emergency designer. And I actually created a Voices from the Industry. So when you see that QR code, it's being launched today on all the on-demand in KBA Voices from the Industry. If you have that, you can see that, or contact me later and I can get you the presentation. I have a lot more stories there. Some of the ones that I sent in for submission here were what brought me up on stage for you all today. I also worked in disaster restoration for a little bit, and that was another reason why I've kind of been playing into the emergency designer program. And one of the clients, one of the great ways to actually work with clients and support them is, okay, you've had this unexpected situation. You had a fire loss. Oh, it was a candle that this happened? Okay, let's go check this out. We'll go over to your house and I met the couple, and the whole house is, it's burnt. I mean, it's just really crispy on the inside of their master suite. And we're walking in, and everything has been removed except one item. And we're just not going to talk about it, apparently, as we're walking around. And I just did not want to say, why is there this large swing in the middle of your bedroom?
Oh.
I don't really want to talk about it. Let's just keep focusing on the master bathroom and focus on that area. We'll just deal with it. And we're just and I'm literally just walking around the swing, not looking at it at all, because we're just not going to talk about it today. They're not bringing it up. I don't need to bring it up. We'll just let it be.
Why would they not bring it up?
All right.
Yeah.
I think they were mortified. They let the house burn down with their candles. So, so that we did put it all back together. The swing was gone. I don't know if it's back. I'm not talking to them.
Oh, it's back.
I'm not going to go back and take
It's
that.
definitely back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Another project that was these are some of these things that they're just so crazy that you could not make it up.
Right.
As you may have seen, one of them was an FBI rescue. Client connected with me because their neighbor said, hey, you got to talk to this designer. She can help you out. They are from the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm originally from California, lived there most of my life, and then moved to Florida just a couple of years ago. So I have nothing crazy in Florida yet, but amazingly with Florida man, right? The situation is it's this beautiful 1902 home. It's a mansion and in the Fab 40s. We're working on it, and they're not getting a hold of their contractor that we had just met previously. And he had taken us on this great tour of the fabrication of where they fabricate all the cabinetry, where his workshop is, and all of a sudden I get a call from the clients and they're like, turn on the 6 o'clock news.
No, not what you want to hear.
He is being swatted by FBI, and it turns out he's not a contractor, and that was not his business. He was a grifter. So, like, what in the world is happening? So that's why we really had to start making quick decisions, but we're just like, what the heck is happening here?
Oh my God.
That was like a career? Like he was making moves off
He was
of that.
making
This
moves.
wasn't
So
like the first person
is
he's
on
done
the top
that
10
Like Dirty
FBI's most wanted list because he's been grifting people for different types of businesses all across the country. And they caught him finally. But my clients lost a lot of money. They were never getting it back. We had to just reorder cabinets, but fortunately had great connections. But how do you know? Like when you're as a designer, you really have to learn more about that contractor your client hires. Okay. I usually encourage, and as a certified interior designer, I can't say, hey, you have to hire my designer or my contractor. You can't force them to do that. But I highly encourage you to at least speak to this one that I've worked with. I trust them. I would have them work on my mother's house type of thing. But yeah, that was just the most crazy situation I've ever had. And then the next story I would love to share with you all is got a call from another client and said, hey, come meet us. Oh, by the way, we live right across the street from the Folsom Federal Prison. Oh, that's our landmark. Great. Okay. Go out there, and I already have, vetted them out on budgets and investment costs and things like that, what we're going to do. And I knock on the door, and I hear, boom. Something hits the door. What the heck is behind this door that's going to open up? What am I going to walk into? Client opens the door, and little tiny dog that had ran in and hit the door, but this big Sully, like this Sully from Monsters, Inc., is right there. They're like, come on in. And this is the land where it just goes crazy. Every single room is dedicated to a theme of what they've loved. And so they have me come in, and they're like showing me around the house. There's Star Wars room. This is a 6-bedroom house. There's a Barbie room. There's a teacup room. Everything crazy. I'm just like, okay, what do you need me for? They're like, sit down. We want to do the kitchen design.
Was he in costume?
No, that was
like
they had bought it from
life-size?
a life-size Sully.
My God.
Ew, that's Epcot Center decorating.
Yeah.
Like the worst.
It was
just go to
wild.
Disneyland
So as we're sitting down, getting to know each other a little more, they're like, "Hey, we want to show you this movie real quick because it's what the style of kitchen cabinets we want." That's not that strange. So they put the movie on, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is Grosse Pointe Blank." And they're like, yeah, don't mind the blood. This is what we want and for our kitchen. This is the style we're wanting. I'm like, oh, this is great. Okay. It turned out fantastic, but I could not take pictures because apparently the husband was in the CIA. So I had some limited things that I could actually share with you today, but that's...
Oh, wow.
Somehow it follows me. If you'd like to hear more about it, though, I do have that presentation I'd love to share with you, that QR code up there right now. It's a lot more stories and how I can help you also incorporate. I don't want you to run away from crazy clients. There's so much more fun involved in it, and I have great processes to share and help you push through that.
I'm running.
I'm with Denise. I'm out of here.
It depends on the brand of crazy, I think, but yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So I want to follow up on the grifter, Dirty John guy. So did he break into an actual cabinet maker's shop and just
He walked us
give a
through
tour?
during the day. He gave us a tour.
But
nobody saw him.
But it was someone else's
There were people
business.
working, but it was during lunch hour, and so nobody was.
None of them questioned him. Like,
No
hey,
one
you don't work here.
questioned
Why
us.
are you doing this?
He
They were
could
just
look like a
workers.
cabinet rack or some kind of a
Oh,
rack.
yeah.
Could have been a
And they're
rack.
just there building cabinet. Like, they're not
They're
going to
just
get in the
building
way of
cabinets.
something.
Nobody was looking at who this guy
God.
was.
The
Bringing
audacity.
people-
I think this is when it's really helpful to have a local design community.
Yeah.
and being able to just ask around if there's some random new vendor that you haven't heard of.
I
just
only
to make
want
sure
to
it's
work with my
legit.
A-team. I don't want to work with randos. It's
Yeah,
too
I mean,
hard.
you get those clients who say, I want my contractor. And then you find out, oh, he's my coworker's brother-in-law.
Right,
Yeah,
no, that's a response.
uncle, whatever. And
No,
it's like,
thank you.
no, thanks. No, I really don't want to
It's
do
making me want to invest in like a background checking company or something. Like,
You already do.
that's my ex-banker. I'm a former. I worked in banking for 13 years before I went back to design school, and one of my last roles with the bank was in anti-money laundering compliance.
Yeah.
So we spent a lot of time really digging in on like reputational risk and trying to figure people out. So now I do like start to dig deep when I can't find people and I get an inquiry. I'm like, why isn't there anything in
You
public
have like
record?
secret like websites that you do like background checks.
There's a few back pocket things out there that
Yeah, now you
are not
know.
illegal to get access to, but definitely like if I can't find something on people,
It's not the dark web.
why are they hiding is my question, because almost all of us now have so much that's just in the world.
Yeah.
And when I'm like, that's so weird, there's not one address on file for you, like where did you come from? And then now I'm like, is it CIA now? Like, I don't know. Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
I've never had anything bad, like nothing
But
I
if
ever
you're a
dealt with was
business,
like,
if you're a cabinet maker, you have to have.
you got to be
some kind of
registered
presence.
somewhere, or
Right.
like, I sure do go look up like almost every business because California makes it easy to look up business
Yeah.
entities. And I'm like, why did you let your insurance lapse? Like, what happened that year? Or
2012.
why are all the executives different suddenly? What happened over there?
Wow. Okay. Well, I feel better about.
You haven't had any that wild?
Not like scared. Not scary.
Not grifters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's scary. You
But
could
you have like the
Again.
normal stuff. Like if you had, we used to years ago, we used to send out our contract and it was a Word document. And so I had the client, you guys have had this client who changed your contract.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, no.
And like I took the
So
liberty
then we're like,
of,
okay,
yeah.
now we send out a PDF.
Yeah.
If I'm hiring you, you can decide what's in the contract. But since you're hiring me, we're going to go with my contract.
Definitely.
Your
Yeah.
version.
I've
Yeah.
had that redlined. I had a contract
Track
redlined
changes.
Yeah.
by a
Yeah.
by a
I went ahead
lawyer.
and changed your rate, and your markup percentage is now this.
Yeah.
Like, hold on.
Sorry.
No thank you.
No.
Thank you, but no thanks.
And I was saying backstage, it's only for consultations. So for people that are basically strangers, they can book appointments with me online. And I do a cursory look to make sure they're not creepos. And it's never happened. But I do sync that those calendar appointments to my husband's calendar, just in case like I don't come home that day.
In case there's a
like,
missing person case.
I'm gonna.
I mean, I'm still probably dead, but at least he knows where to find me.
too late. Like, in a,
I mean, I at least want to be found and have like this story.
I don't blame you for that.
I take somebody with me. Like I have somebody who answers does all our pre-qualifying and qualifying phone calls, and she'll say, there's something, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm sending you with a senior designer to go with
Yeah.
you today. And a couple of times I've been happy. It was just nothing crazy, but
Yeah.
it's just like,
The
ugh,
vibes
I didn't
weren't
want to be there.
Vibe.
Yeah, my
The
assistant
vibe
is
wasn't
with me
good.
now.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
It's good to have another witness next to you if something happens.
Exactly. I mean, apropos of nothing, but I went for a massage. Like, during COVID, all the places were closed, so I went to somebody's apartment and they had a pole in the living room.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, and I could have lived with the pole in the living room. No judgment. Yeah, you can exercise however you want. But the bathroom is super gross and dirty. And that was the moment where I'm like, I don't think I can do this.
No.
Yeah, these are like the weird intimate things that we see that we're not used to
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, these really help us increase our contract just for protection. because
Every
there's too many
project is a
crazy
new chance to
things.
revise
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
Or have you
Policies change.
had clients who want wallpaper in the bathroom and then they have little boys?
Oh.
Yes.
And then the wallpaper's all discolored from the 2 feet
Yes.
down. You're like, so you have to have that conversation with them. Okay, we're going to talk about the splash zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a tile at least 3 feet up.
Can't do it. Been there before. We're not doing that. Yeah, it is a weird business.
Yeah. But and you have to talk about it, which is why it's like now you're just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's jump right into the way you actually live in your house.
Or barn doors. You know how barn doors look really great, but acoustically, not sound. Do you really want to listen to your husband in the bathroom?
Yeah.
I don't think you do.
Nope.
We can only move the powder room so far away from the dining room.
Is that
Right.
true?
Can we please?
Right.
That's true. Yeah, the powder room's right beside the dining room. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no barn doors, please.
Awkward. Yeah. No, they look great. Don't work. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to have some kind of icebreaker with clients just to like get past some of these things quickly, because you do need to get in their business. You are going to walk in their house without knocking at some point. Like, you do get very comfortable, so it's better just for them to just be able to tell it. Like, you're kind of a therapist, like, in a lot of ways.
Oh, definitely.
Mediating between spouses, whatever it is, like, I think it's good to have, I mean, maybe we just need to take, like, a vow of silence or whatever.
Now mediating.
We wouldn't be here, but what, like, doctors, like, you can't.
Yeah.
Like a Hippocratic oath, but
Yeah, but we can't, like, disclose.
Do no harm.
I mean, I never disclose anyone's names if I do tell a story.
no. But if they were listening, they would know these stories now.
That's what I think on the podcast sometimes. Sometimes the stories I share, I think if
they're
this
listening.
person heard what I'm saying, that would be so uncomfortable.
That's why we started a Patreon, so we know everyone who's
like
in it,
private
and
paid-
clients don't
yeah.
pay. Like, you have to pay a little bit to get in, so it's just
Yeah.
designers, and we can tell a little bit more of our hot tea stories there.
Yeah.
There's always more to share.
There's always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you all for sharing so much with us, and like also being able to reflect on it now from a distance is a lot easier.
Yeah. Now it's funny.
Now you can laugh
wasn't
about
then.
it, and you made it.
Yeah, and in
I
the
made it.
moment, like, okay, I just collected a new story. That's going to be the little bit of a silver lining, I guess.
Yeah.
There's always something new, though, no matter how prepared you are, right? Like, there's
Always.
the next crazy thing that you didn't anticipate,
Always.
right? Like, we upholstered a sofa, and the client was upset because when you look underneath the sofa, the underside, we didn't use the same material underneath.
Oh, wow.
But that's because you don't lay on the floor and look up at the bottom of the sofa. Only the dog sees that. And the fabric's a Scalamandra, like $400-something a yard.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
so they just wanted you to like do
We
full
had
coverage.
to remove the sofa and upholster the bottom of the sofa.
They didn't want just like the black fabric on the
Right.
bottom.
Was this the same magnifying glass lady?
No. Like
On the
they're
thread.
just, they're out there. There's
Yeah.
not one family having them all. Like you're gonna run.
And if they had told you that from the beginning, that's what I want.
Yeah.
Then we would have quoted for it.
If you want to
Like,
spend $1,200
Right.
modifying, and I'm going to take some money off the procurement, like I can do this all day. You want us,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe
Right.
we should.
But have they ever even seen that? Like, why would they even think that was a standard?
Her feeling was just wasn't right. Just wasn't right. I said, well, let's make it right. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right?
What about the chairs in the other part of the room?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's
Honestly,
keep going.
Let's do it right. Now that I know, yeah.
It's not fully upholstered until the bottom is covered now. So now you have
That's a thing now,
yeah.
Whatever.
Make a,
Yeah.
they're not going to argue with them.
It does make me think sometimes of developing a questionnaire with like a psychologist that could like unearth some kind of like red flags that they wouldn't know you're doing it, but
Yeah.
it's like what's your
Auto-sorting.
like OCD level? Like, how is this going to impact? Because we want them to be happy too. So like, I'm not going to recommend handmade tile for you if you really want those grout lines to be perfect. We're going to have the tile installer that's twice as much, but they're going to spend 3 weeks installing your backsplash.
Yeah.
Like, fine.
Cutting one at a time with like a hammer and a chisel.
That's
Doing a
somebody should
questionnaire
do
with
that.
like a strength training
Yes.
system. Yeah, my previous work, we did that. So I would know what my employees were, like what were their strengths versus their weaknesses, or even just their personality. Like, I think that would be good for a husband and a wife.
Yes.
Because I have a husband and a wife that I'm working with right now, and I swear he doesn't like her. I don't know. Maybe it's just when I'm around, but he's very short with her all the time, and she's like trying. And so I know I'm always in the middle, so I feel so bad. But maybe if I could get him to the side and talk to him more about it and just knew how his strengths were and hers. And I don't know. We're peer mediators all the time, but yeah, I feel like he doesn't like her. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to be a
We're
marriage
designers.
therapist.
We're not magicians. Yeah, we're not magicians, but I
We're
have a client.
designers.
Yeah.
I'm working
Marriage
with
therapists.
Right.
We are
Marriage
marriage
therapists.
therapists. I have a couple that I'm working with right now where it's very obviously the wife is going to get whatever she wants, but the husband is just so just trying so hard to be heard.
Aww.
And I do say, that is something we can consider, putting a balcony on the front of the house on the new addition. Now, in architectural terms, we do call that a wart on the house. So I helped him just really make that decision very quickly, because it's just not going to look great at all. He was just wanting to have something, even if it didn't make any sense. But at least I heard him. We laughed. We had fun. And you do have to have fun. And I think that learning from a lot of these crazy stories we've had, you don't necessarily have to run away from the client. You can learn how to turn it around and enjoy the process. You really can. It can be fun, and it can be funny. You can get them to laugh. And I think that's what it just really makes it such an incredible business. But yeah, you can get stressed out at times, and this is where you learn, and you add those things in the contract. The thing I always tell clients is I am not an absolute person, except for you always know, you never know what you're going to get, especially with remodeling. Yes.
Every time.
Very
And if we
true.
don't laugh, we'll cry.
Or both.
Sadly.
Fair amount of both, yeah.
I
Thank you.
totally forgot about my client who was arrested and perp walked right off the project.
Like while you're there?
While we were there.
Like a
And
sidewalk,
this
perp
is-
walk.
This is years ago. Like, we were doing their boathouse in Muskoka, which is cottage country outside of Toronto, about 2 hours outside of Toronto, really pretty lake country. And I was there with a couple of a junior designer and a senior designer. The cops come, cuff him. And back then I got a very small retainer, like maybe $5,000, and he owed me a few $100,000 at this point.
Oh my God.
I was young, didn't have all my process, and I thought that I'm in so much trouble right now because everything's bought, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have to pay for all of it. Anyway, it was a white collar crime, so he got off, of course, quickly, and he paid all of his bills. But that was my wake up moment, like, you have to get a huge retainer and take care of
Oh my
yourself.
God, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So scary.
Somebody goes
Yeah.
to prison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
I'll-
had a reality show for a while. Come ask me afterwards, I'll tell you.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wild.
We almost
Right. I know. Like, that's sad when you don't even think of that story at the top of your
We've
mind.
had so many. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. I also want to thank our fabulous panelists, Kimberley Seldon, Deneen Jackson, and Stacey McCarthy.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Thanks for listening and supporting the BOD mission to improve the industry one design business at a time. If you're ready to implement an exact business model for running a streamlined, profitable business, field tested by thousands of design professionals around the world, head to businessofdesign.com and get started today. It's time to dramatically improve your business and transform your life.